Well, welcome everybody to the first episode of Worn Out Sports. We'll be talking about basically college football and specifically SEC football. Not a football expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do love the fact that it's kind of cool because of the COVID stuff that we're getting an all SEC schedule. We're finally adding more SEC teams to the regular schedule that we've been wanting to do, and all these meaningless throwaway games are not going to happen this year, which I think is great. The downside is, of course, the Pac-12 aren't playing, which they weren't going to make the playoffs anyway, and then you have the Big Ten's not playing. They're regretting that decision. And so we don't have to watch Jim Harbaugh or listen about how Michigan is not fulfilling expectations, and he gets to stay head coach for one more season. But we're going to look at SEC, and we're going to look at the schedule, and we're going to start off with a pretty cool matchup, and that's Florida and Ole Miss. This ought to be a really good game. You have two great offensive minds in Dan Mullen and for first-year head coach at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that Lane Kiffin is a great offensive coordinator. He's got a great offensive mind. He has not been successful in the head coaching position, at least not at a big school. And coming back to the SEC tells me Lane is trying to prove a point. I think he wants to be successful at Ole Miss. Very few people have been consistently, and he no doubt wants to be the first former assistant coach to Nick Saban to finally beat his boss. And to me, he probably has a better chance than most to do so. However, in this game, who do I think is going to win? I think Ole Miss is going to come at Florida with a lot of, not necessarily trickeration, but a lot of really high-octane offense. But Florida's going to come with not only a good offense, an experienced quarterback, and a very, very good defense. I think that they're going to have too much talent and are going to wear Ole Miss down. I think it'll be close early, but eventually this is what it's going to look like. Yeah, believe it or not, sharks do eat gators. I'm sorry, gators do eat sharks, and the fact that that Ole Miss has changed their logo to Land Shark is the most ridiculous thing ever. So yeah, I'm going to give it 45-27 Florida. That brings us to hold on, I'm trying not to throw up my mouth. It happens. It's a natural reflex every time I have to talk about Auburn. And of course, they're going to be playing Kentucky. They're going to be playing Auburn, so they'll get that extra timeout that Auburn seems to get, so they can kick a field goal right before the half. No bitterness here whatsoever, but that's what happened. Anyway, but is this going to be a good game? I think it's going to be better than most people think. Auburn typically out of the gate has offensive problems because they run a Pop Warner style of offense, and because of that, I think Kentucky, at least their starting 11, is going to do a very good job on defense of holding Auburn. I don't think Bo Nix is that good. He's not proven to me he's that good. And so I think it's going to be a close defensive struggle. I think Auburn fans are kind of going to have this response when they see their offensive performance. It's much like my response every time that I have to talk about Auburn or look at Auburn. And the final score of this game will be 27-24. Auburn, it'll be close. That brings us to defending national championship LSU Tigers taking on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. This is going to be another game where I think Mississippi State, well, you know what? Let me illustrate it with this short video of what happens when a bulldog or a form of bulldog takes on a tiger. You see here, good defensive struggle, good defensive stand. The tiger's a little bit confused. He's swatting, hampered maybe by injuries with that rope. The dog is getting bolder and bolder, thinks he can hang with the tiger, and then all of a sudden things really go sideways. And that's basically what you're going to see. 52-24 LSU Tigers. And LSU is just going to have too much for Mississippi State. Most teams are going to be more talented than Mississippi State. They just can't get the recruits, and definitely LSU starts the season off at 1-0. That brings us to the next SEC matchup of the day. Just great. Here's another thing I love about the fact that SEC teams are all playing each other is the fact that every game is a good game, or has the potential to be a good game, and so that's exciting. You see number 4, Georgia, take on the Razorbacks of Arkansas. Arkansas entering their 20th year of rebuilding and haven't really made a statement with about 5 different coaches. And they're not going to make a statement in this game either. They may play them good. Now, Arkansas can sling the ball around. That's for sure. But basically what you're going to see by the end of the third quarter is that the game's going to look like this. It really is. Georgia 45-23. I think Arkansas will be threatening there for a little bit, but pretty much Georgia's going to out-talent them and just pound them in the ground. All right. Now that brings us to Alabama versus Missouri. Missouri, I believe, is regretting being in the SEC. Now, this is a team that just a few years ago, I think like 2013 or 14, somewhere around there, they actually won the SEC East 2 years in a row. They are a thorn in Florida's side, so Florida needs to quit getting them for homecoming. But they have yet to win the SEC championship. Don't feel bad, not many teams out of the East do. But this game is going to be pretty much the destruction of Missouri. It's going to be at Missouri. It won't matter. So we don't get to see this, but Missouri does have a distinct thing where this happened in 2018, where they brought back this very favored song. I'll let you enjoy the atmosphere. Would be the final score. I think that Missouri will get the scores that Which brings us to the Vanderbilt Texas A&M game. Now, poor Vanderbilt. Everybody's homecoming queen, never king themselves. And Texas A&M is, I believe, ranked 10th. Out of this, I'm sorry I didn't go over the rankings, but Florida's 5th, Kentucky's 23rd, Auburn is 8th, LSU is 6th, Georgia's 4th, Alabama is 2nd, Texas A&M is 10th, and Tennessee is 15th. I don't know if I've ever seen that many SEC teams ranked in the top 25. And that's very interesting. So you got some top 25 games going on quite often. With all those rankings, the funny thing is the only top 25 matchup you have is Kentucky and Auburn. See, I can't help that gag reflex. So what's this game going to be like? Well, you're kidding, right? Let me show you. If you don't know, Gordon Bombay, who used to coach hockey, has been made the Vanderbilt head coach, and this is basically every locker room pep talk at Vanderbilt.
You guys stink. You think losing is funny?
Well, not at first, but once you get the hang of it.
You didn't listen to a word I said. I said keep your heads up, you put your heads down. I said hustle, you went slower. That was the sloppiest playing I've ever seen. Why the hell don't you just listen to me? You wanna lose? Fine.
That's basically the understanding of every time Vanderbilt plays a pretty good team. And if you don't know, this is the mascot of Vanderbilt. It's called a Commodore. Now, what a Commodore is a high-ranking official in the Navy. Typically, they're in command of more than one ship, oftentimes, and whatnot. And this is sort of, this is their mascot. I don't know why that is. I didn't research it because I don't care enough to know. But let me give you a video illustration of what's going to happen to Vanderbilt when they play Texas A&M. And be advised that these two ships, I'll give you a little narration. Vanderbilt is the ship going between the other two ships. This is what's going to happen to Vanderbilt. Because you have offense on one side, defense on the other. And that's pretty much what's going to happen for 4 quarters. Oh, there goes Vanderbilt's staff. A couple players. There goes some more staff. Oh, boy, there goes a cannon. Oh, that guy's did, for sure. Look at that canvas flying everywhere. You get splinters like that. Oh, this unfortunate soul right here. Oh, squashed by the mat, and then that's it. Yeah, it's going to be that ugly when they play each other. It typically is. Jimbo Fisher, this is the year, needs to prove some stuff. 48-6 is going to be the final score of that game, and it's going to get ugly fast. All right, that brings us to Tennessee and South Carolina. Tennessee, of course, in their 15th year of rebuilding, starts off the season ranked 15th. And they got to prove that to me. I don't know why they're ranked so high, but they are playing South Carolina, who has just been abysmal. This South Carolina team is a team that could beat Georgia, but then gets punked by Alabama and just can't even stay in the arena with most teams that are halfway decent. And I don't think, to be honest with you, this is one of those games that's a toss-up. I don't really know who's going to win this game because you never know what Tennessee you're going to get. Now, this is not Butch Davis, Tennessee. This is Jeremy Pruitt, Tennessee. So you're going to get more consistency on defense. You're going to get, hopefully, better quarterback play out of Tennessee. And so to make it into a game. The only video I could find that was similar to this, because if you don't know, Tennessee are the Tennessee Volunteers, and you have the South Carolina Gamecocks. And if you don't know what a gamecock is, it's basically an angry chicken. And this is the only video clip I could find that was something I could commentate on that resembled this game. Now, I want you to notice the skinniness of the dog and the chicken. That's pretty accurate for Tennessee and South Carolina's physical prowess. There's a broom that got in the way. That might have been an assistant coach. But we see there's kind of a stalemate here. The Chicken's wanting more. It's going to be a close game. It'll be a defensive struggle, 24-13, and probably will have a defensive touchdown that will put the game away for Tennessee. And, folks, that's basically that's it. That's wrap up. I appreciate you watching. I'll let you enjoy Alabama Compton argument for a victory. And as we close this out. So, please subscribe. Please comment if you want your own picks. Please comment in the comment section and let me know who you're going to pick to win these games. I'll even do a little contest with you. I don't know the prizes, but I vote. And please remember, friends don't let friends go out to the